Hello and good evening, everyone, or good day, depending on where you are, and welcome to another Tuesday evening or Tuesday day, depending on your time zone. And today we're going to carry on, as usual, with selected excerpts from Kabbalistic authentic text. Now, if you're interested in the wisdom of Kabbalah and you just dropped out of the sky onto our YouTube channel, you can always go to Kabbalah.info and check us out. And if you're interested in taking a course, you can join the KabU Academy there, and they'll be absolutely delighted to take you on board, I'm sure. Today, we're going to carry on with growing ourselves stronger with the concept of there is none else besides him. So we're going to carry on with excerpt number 5. Okay. Excerpt number 5. So this is from Baal Sum, letter number 18. And let's see what he's going to try and tell us here. One who assumes the complete burden of the kingdom of heaven finds no labor in the work of the Creator, and can therefore adhere to the Creator day and night, in light and in darkness. The Geshem, rain, but also corporeality, which is created in coming and going, changes and exchanges, will not stop him, since the Keter, which is Ein Sof, illuminates to all completely equally. The fool who walks under a flood of preventions that pour on him from before and from behind, says to all that he does not feel the cessation and the lack of adhesion as a corruption or inequity on his part. Had he sensed it, he would certainly have strained to find some tactic to at least be saved from the cessation of dvekut or adhesion, whether more or less. This tactic has never been denied of anyone who sought it, either as in the thought of faith, or as in confidence, or as in pleas of his prayer, which are suitable for a person specifically in the narrow and pressured places, for even a thief in hiding calls on the Creator. All right, it's a bit of a tricky text, isn't it? But what we're going to do, we're going to do a little operation on it and dissect it sentence by sentence and see how we pan it out. Let's see. One who assumes the complete burden of the kingdom of heaven finds no labor in the work of the Creator. Okay, up to here. Let's see. If I take on spirituality, right? Really take it on. Say to myself, you know what? This is it. This life I'm writing off. Okay? Just to attain this, and everything else I'm not fussed about. If I have such a direct vision that this is the meaning of my life and this is what I'm going to do, that's it, end of story, full stop, then one who assumes the complete burden of the kingdom of heaven finds no labor in the work of the Creator. He or she will not get tired. Right? You can't get tired if you've decided that you're going to take something from A to Z. It's just not going to happen. Why? Because mind over matter, right? This is why we have to use our mental faculties in parallel to the dot in the heart, right? This is really important. So I have to make some kind of a decision. And what makes the dot in the heart strong? If I think about it, right? Because the thought can be a tool to empower that little desire I have. Because whatever I think about more, I can help grow that desire. So if I can make a decision and focus on that decision, then that will really pump up my desire for spirituality. So I won't feel like I'm getting tired along the way, and can therefore adhere to the Creator day and night, in light and in darkness. So it doesn't matter what I go through, I can always stick to the path. Now, and this is really important to understand, right? If you're going to jump ship every time you feel bad, I mean, nothing in life is going to work out for you. I mean, forget spirituality, right? Nothing will work out if you jump ship all the time. So what you have to do is just make a decision that if you're going to attain spirituality, you're not going to jump ship because you're going to burn the ships, right? And say there is no going back. Okay. Otherwise, you always have a plan B. Now, the problem with plan B is you can always go to plan B, And that's not a good plan if you want to attain plan A, is it? Okay, because every time you have an obstacle on plan A, you're going to say, well, let's go to plan B. You'll never get anything done. You'll never get plan A done anyway. All right. So the important thing here is to be decisive. And then you can take on whatever the Creator brings forth. Geshem, rain, also from the word Gashmiut or Gashmi, corporeality, which is created in coming and going, changes and exchanges. So I'm always going through changes. This will not stop him, since the Keter, which is Ein Sof, illuminates to all completely equally. Now, this is nice to know. If I understand that the Creator's light is always working on us non-stop, equally, it means that his relationship to me is constant all the time, right? And if the Kabbalists say that the attribute of the Creator is love and the act of love is bestowal, then everything that he's doing to me equally, right, is not going to change. He's not going to treat me good one day, bad the other day. He's always going to treat me good. How I perceive that situation is a different story. Okay, but his relationship to us doesn't change. It's important to understand that. Why? Because if I'm going through, according to my eyes, a bad day, but if I understand that the Creator is good that does good, then that bad cannot be bad. It must be a leverage I'm supposed to use to go higher. Okay, does that make sense? You see, I've got to join the dots. Okay, and that's how it is. So the Creator is good that does good. If there's something bad in my sensation, it's probably because I need to change something. Okay, so in order for me to change something, the Creator is giving me a pinch. So I have to now be a bit aware, okay, to see and seek what I think I should be changing. And what I should be changing should come in front of me, either in thought or in action or in desire. There's no other way it's going to come up to me, right? So a few things can happen here. If I'm in the group, okay, I feel a negative sensation or rejection, then within that group, the cause of the negative sensation in me is a sign that that's what I need to correct in me. Okay. However, if I can't decipher it, if I don't know why something's happening and I'm feeling bad, then the other thing I can do is read the texts, right? Because if I have an intention to discover what I need to correct and I'm confused and I don't understand, then I can study, okay? However, if I complain and, as it writes here, the fool who walks under a flood of preventions that pour on him before and from behind, says to all that he does not feel the cessation and the lack of dvekut as corruption or iniquity on his part. So if I'm going through dramas and I don't feel like that the Creator is missing, or if I don't feel like I need the Creator, then there's nothing to talk about, right? Because there's no lack. So what I have to do is, whenever I'm feeling something bad, I have to decipher, I have to search for what that negativity's cause is so I can fix it up. Or, well, I can't fix it up, but if we carry on reading, had he sensed it, he would certainly have strained to find some tactic to at least be saved from the cessation of dvekut. Why? Because where I feel bad is where I'm disconnected from the Creator. Okay, so I have to seek out what I need to correct in order to be back in connection with the Creator. Okay, this is why if a person's like that, if a person doesn't care, all right, so he or she's going to feel bad and just jump ship. Okay, but if a person feels bad and starts thinking, well, wait a minute, I am now having a bad day with the Creator. Okay, because I don't understand why I'm going through such dramas. So I have to think about what the Creator wants from me rather than run away. So I have to find a tactic. Okay, and where can that tactic be? In the group. Why? Because the sensation of the Creator, or lack of, can only be amongst those people who have a dot in the heart. Why? Because the dot in the heart is a part of the creator that we're feeling as a call from within to the creator. So only those points need to hook up. So if I dive now into the group, kind of think about how am I going to bond with these people? Okay, what do I need to do with these people right now, so I can, like, you know, have a bit of an enlightenment or have some kind of a connection, so that I can feel as if I'm overcoming this negativity. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm not deleting it. I'm not dumping it in the trash. I'm actually going above it. Because if I can go above it, then that's where you feel empowered. Because everything in life as well, if you think about it, right, to be successful, I have to overcome difficulties, don't I? Right? Well, same thing in spirituality. If I want to get spiritual, I have to overcome the egoism. So I have to figure out what part of my egoism is stopping me from connecting with other people. And if I figure that out, that's the ego. Okay, it's like a membrane around every organ. None of the organs can touch each other because of that membrane, all right? Even though they appear to be touching, right? But they can't, because there's a membrane. That same membrane, okay, is this ego that just doesn't allow us to connect with somebody else. So I have to figure that out. I have to figure out what trait is in me that's stopping or does not want to be connected with the other person. If I figure that out, then that's the Pharaoh. Then I can exactly ask for the correction of that specific thing. If I don't see that specific thing, I don't have anything to ask the creator. Does that make sense? Okay, there's a kid who's just crying out generally, and there's a kid who specifically says, this is what I want. Okay, and with the creator, we've got to be really specific. Okay, and the only time you can get specific with the creator is by trying to figure out how you're going to connect with others, and then discover that little thin membrane, seemingly invisible, right? It's like a little see-through whatever. Okay, it's a membrane, guys, come on. Okay, so it's got no color, it's see-through. Okay, so it's that thing. So I've got to kind of figure out where that is. All right. This is why the ego, they say, is very cunning, because you don't really see it being that obvious. Okay, it's just a little feeling in you. It says, oh, I've got something else to do. Oh, I've got to do this. I've got to run some errands. I've got to go here. I've got to go there. Anywhere but the group. Okay, I have to go everywhere else except the group. Okay, and that's how it packs out. So this is why we've got to find tactics. Now, this tactic has never been denied of anyone who sought it, so I've got to search for it. Now, in spirituality, nothing comes easy, and a lot of friends say, listen, I've been in this business for several years, and it's like a wild goose chase. Okay, it's like it's never going to happen, right? But that's wrong. It's absolutely wrong, because you've never actually sought out any way to overcome the obstacle. Okay, so some people are constantly like hitting obstacles. So I'm making an effort, I hit an obstacle. Okay, and then instead of overcoming it, what I do is I take a right turn. Okay, do something else, right? Okay, and I hit another obstacle. I'm not overcoming, and then I go the other way. Okay, and just do the same thing over and over again. I'm never overcoming the obstacle. So sometimes friends say, listen, I'm just keep going over the same stuff. How come I'm constantly coming up with the same obstacle? Well, it's not the same obstacle because you change day to day, but it feels like the same obstacle because you haven't addressed the issue of overcoming that specific thing. Okay. Also, as our egoism grows, we tend to go over same things, but with a greater egoism. So if I don't really sort out what I should sort out at my current level of coarseness, then it's just going to get harder, isn't it? And that's when people fall off, because they fail to address the issue correctly. either as in the thought of faith, or as in confidence, or as in pleas of his prayer, which are suitable for a person specifically in the narrow and pressured places. For even a thief in hiding calls on the Creator. So that's nice to know. So when we're feeling pressure, it's supposed to be a help. A help for what? A help to call out to the Creator. That's the thought of faith. So what I want to do is, I understand that I have an obstacle that is not allowing me to move forward in love and bestowal of others, which is called faith, by the way. And then if I can turn to the Creator, because I specifically know what's stopping me, then I can have confidence even if I don't get an answer to my prayer. Why? Because seeing exactly what my fault or problem or ego is already pretty much what? It's a correction, isn't it? Why? Because if I see the evil, right, if the Creator specifically shows me, listen, this is exactly where you're wrong and you shouldn't behave like this. And if that's clear to me, it's like I already got an answer. Okay. It's like in real life, right? If I understand, if I put my finger in the electricity socket, I'm going to get shocked. Okay. So I have an understanding. If I understand that, and then my ego is also as clear as daylight at that situation, that it's kind of caused me harm, and I can say, you know, I don't want to use that. I don't want to use that attribute that I have in me, simply because I now understand that this is dangerous. I fail to understand that, and I make the same mistake again. Well, I'm just going to get slapped, aren't I? Because that's how it pans out in real life as well. Imagine your kid sticking his finger in the socket. You're not going to nicely explain to the kid, oh, here, you'll get electrocuted. You're just going to slap him one in the hand, because first of all, he's too little to understand what electricity is. And you don't want to be wasting your time trying to explain to him while he gets electrocuted. So you are immediately going to slap his hand and do the explanations later. When he says, well, what's the matter with you? Why are you hitting me? Okay, that's how it is. Same with humanity. Okay, it's like this story we've got, the fable, right? There's a wise man who's sending the little kid, his grandson or whatever, to get water from the river in a vessel, right? In a clay vessel. And he calls the kid over, gives him the clay vessel. I want you to go get water, right? So he says, okay. He slaps the kid before the kid goes. So all the villagers go, why are you slapping the kid before he's even gone and brought the water? He hasn't even broken anything. He says, I know. I just want him to make sure he understands what's going to happen if it breaks it. Okay. Do you understand what I mean? Life is like that. This is why we have the question in life, why me? Right? Because we don't understand why we get slapped. Okay. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to our logical mind, but to a wise man, it does, because he doesn't want the kid going around there with his mind somewhere else. He wants to understand that the kid needs to bring that vessel with water unbroken. Okay. And that's a good understanding. First of all, it brings you back to reality. You know, you can't be going to the water all jumping about, chasing butterflies and stuff. So you go nice and easy, you come back nice and easy, and you don't break anything. Okay. I know it doesn't make sense, but that's how it is in reality. And this is why we get hit. And then we complain to the Creator and we say, listen, we get beaten up and we don't know why we get beaten up. It's true. And this is the way to raise children as well. Okay, don't say that to a psychologist, though. They'll think you're mad. Okay? It's true, though. All right, and that's just how it is. Unfortunately, we don't understand why we get beaten up either. And this is why we need to study. And this is why the Kabbalists are saying you have to seek it out. You have to seek out why you're going through the drama rather than run away from the drama. Now, our human nature is to run away from dramas. Okay, so if I see a trouble, I don't want to think about why, just get out of there. Okay, and that's not going to work out. So, and if you can't figure it out, that's also okay by the creator. Why? Because you can always pray to the creator. Okay, and that's also fine. The important thing, though, is to make sure you do the work and you understand there's some issue here with your ego. And even if it's not clear, you can pray for it to be clear, because that's the correct prayer as well. But if you jump ship, it's going to get beaten up. We're on number 6. Okay. Yeah, are there questions? We've got questions. Karen's asking, what are the flood of preventions that pour on the fool? Well, a bunch of excuses that we all have every day. I don't want to do this. I don't want to come to the group. I don't want to come to the lesson. I've got better things to do in life. Can't imagine what, but you know, people have wild imaginations. Does everyone get this, whether you're on the path or unaware of the path? Well, if you're unaware of the path, there's nothing really to talk about. Why? Because life will push you with suffering. Life doesn't really have any other alternative or any other tool other than suffering to push humanity. And the few nice moments in life you do get are there so that you don't jump off the bridge. Okay, so the creator is like, or life is like massaging you a little bit, and then making you in need of a massage again by taking you through some hard stuff. Okay? This is how it is. This is why we've got ups and downs. But somebody who's not on the path is not even aware of the situation. They just go through life up and down and up and down and up and down. So what's the benefit of it? Well, through the accumulation of bad feelings and sensations, you come to a point where it becomes unbearable. And then you have to ask yourself the question, well, why am I living for anyway? It's okay is asking, when we feel the rejections and we are able to say, this is a correction I need to make in myself, how do we sort the issue out correctly and come to the discernment that will bring the correction? Well, look, more often than not, we don't even know what to correct. Okay, we don't. If a person is in the group and they're studying and they haven't yet attained a higher level of consciousness, what they'll be focusing on is the effort to think about others and to do things for others as much as they can. Okay, because that's the whole idea, right? I think about others, I support others, I help others so that they can advance in spirituality. So here, a person can measure what's preventing him when he's doing actions towards the group in terms of supporting others. So the more I try to support others and I do things to support others, what's going to happen is me thinking to myself, well, I'm not getting any benefit out of this at all. And not only that, but I'm also giving up a lot of my own personal private time where I could be having fun to other people for their benefit. So inside of me, the ego should kind of like start to sizzle a little bit. Okay. And then I can begin to make some discernments. Okay, so now I don't want to help people. So when we come to the wisdom of Kabbalah, we're all in a rush. Okay, so we're like high on spirituality. Oh yeah, I found the answer to the meaning of life, right? And then they tell you after a few months, yeah, you got to love other people. Excuse me? What did you say? Okay. And then you think, come on, I want everyone else to love me. That's fine. And I can have some business with the creator as well. I don't mind bestowing to the creator. I love the creator. Everybody loves the creator, by the way. Okay. Everyone's just crazy about the guy. But what is the creator? So the Kabbalah, the wisdom of Kabbalah, explains to us that the creator is the sensation that we live in, which is the love of others and bestowing to others. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's description of the creator from some Father Christmas throwing gifts to us 27 goes out the window into the bin. As I've got to love others and bestow to others, that's the creator. Yeah. And you got to be like him. And then you're thinking, no, come on, Give me a break. Okay, so then you got this inner conflict. So that inner conflict will actually appear in you when you start the work. And that's the beauty about it, right? You're not studying the wisdom of Kabbalah at all until you get this rejection, because then you can make a discernment. Then you can see what's stopping you, what's the lack of desire. You know what I mean? Like you feel tired, you feel like, oh, I've got other things to do, I've got work, I've got family, I've got all kinds of things except spirituality. Okay, that's how it is. Okay, and unless you start working, those things won't pop up. So once you see them pop up, you have to overcome it. But you can't overcome it. Why? Because it's your nature. It's our nature, so we can't overcome it. So then what happens is the creator can step in if you stick your head into the group, and ask for help from within the group. You see, there is no direct relationship between us and the creator. There can never be. And this is quite sensible as well. Okay. A relationship with the creator can only be through creation, because that's his language with us. So if I want to get strength, if I want to get help, if I want to get corrected, if I want to change something, it has to be through the environment that supports and facilitates and intends on specifically changing my egoistic nature. Okay. I hope that makes sense. So seeing the rejection is really important, because I can turn to the creator. I can actually do better. I see the rejection, I try to overcome it myself and get really disappointed. And then I can also turn to the creator. It's good. It's still good. He doesn't mind as long as you're turning to him. And also it's good because I try to do something. I'm trying to overcome it. And I figure, you know, I see, not figure out, I see, because I'm doing something and I can't manage it. Then I can ask the creator. I can ask the creator to give me a hand. And that's the important thing. So for us to sort this correctly, I have to work correctly in the right environment. Okay. And if a person is not working in the right environment, they're never going to come across these discernments. It's just not going to happen. This is why it's very important to use the environment, the other dots in the heart together. Okay. This is why we don't study spirituality out there and we don't apply it out there in corporeal reality. You can't. You can't. Number 6, when a fear comes upon a person, he should know that there is none else but him, and even witchcraft. And if he sees that fear overcomes him, he should say that there is no such thing as chance, but the Creator has given him a chance from above, and he must contemplate and study the end to which he has been sent this fear. It appears that it is so that he will overcome and say, there is none else besides him. But if after all this the fear has not departed him, he should take it as an example and say that his servitude to the Creator should be in the same measure of the fear, meaning that the fear of heaven, which is a merit, should be in the same manner of fear that he now has. That is, the body is impressed by this superficial fear. And exactly in the same way that the body is impressed, so should be the fear of heaven. Okay, so let's take a look at this sentence by sentence. When fear comes upon a person, he should know that there is none else besides him. Now, this is going to happen. This does happen to a person quite, well, not often, but I'd say often enough. We have to understand what fear is, first of all, right, in spirituality. It could be corporeal fear. Doesn't matter, because we're living in a corporeal world. Okay, it could be corporeal or spiritual. Corporeal meaning that something bad can happen to me in my life, okay, or something bad is likely to happen, or there's a chance, or there's some threatening situation. So whatever that is, when he says even witchcraft, it means that anything and everything. a person can fear anything. And if he sees that fear overcomes him, which means that the fear is preventing me from moving forward. What does that mean? Well, it means that I can't get rid of it in my head. Okay, so it's like I'm consumed by it. He should say that there is no such thing as chance, but the Creator has given him a chance from above, and he must contemplate and study the end to which he has been sent this fear. Once again, like, I have to put a meaning and understanding, something. I've got to relate it to the Creator first. Okay, that's the first and foremost, because there's none else besides him. Everything that comes to a person is because the Creator so wished, so that the person can use in order to move forward in spirituality. If I understand that everything that's coming to me is for me to take a step forward, then that's already half the solution. So one must contemplate and study the end to which he has been sent this fear. So I have to, again, overcome it as well. Fear is no different than any descent or ascent, even an ascent. Okay, ascent or descent. I got to overcome ascent as well. Sometimes you might win. Let's say you won the lottery, right? You're a student of Kabbalah and you won the lottery. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You're probably thinking, yeah, that's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Okay, and then you're thinking all of a sudden, all day, what you're going to do with your money instead of what you should be doing with your soul. Because that's what you're going to be doing. Just thinking about what am I going to do with my money? What am I going to do with my money? Okay, that's it. And what that is, already you are off the path, gone, hasta la vista. Okay, it's game over. So was it an ascent or a descent? So in my desire to receive, it was the best ascent I ever got. Spirituality, the worst ever. In spirituality, the more you're squeezed, the more you turn to the Creator. Okay? Because the more need you have for the Creator. So if the Creator isn't now giving you stuff and you're feeling good, you don't think about the Creator, you just say thanks and move on. Okay? Enjoy the pleasures. But if you're pinched a little bit, what are you going to do? Help me out. Come on, get me out of this mess. Then you're 24/7 with the Creator. Okay? And that's why they say, the more he loves you, the more he beats you up. But if after all this, the fear has not departed him, he should take it as an example and say that this servitude of the Creator should be in the same measure of the fear, meaning the fear of heaven, which is a merit, should be in the same manner of fear that he now has. So if I can't get rid of the fear, I should at least say to myself, I should take a lesson from that. And I should say to myself, this is exactly the kind of fear I should have towards spirituality. I should be this much afraid of not being able to attain the meaning of my life. Okay, so if I can't get rid of a fear, it's a sign how much I should fear not, attaining spirituality. This is the kind of fear I should have for my lack of success. Okay, so the Creator in either case is teaching and never punishing. There is no punishment. He's giving us signs of what it's like. Okay, and that's really cool. If I can get my message, if I can get my message from the event and what I'm supposed to feel and everything that I'm feeling, what I should pick up from here and there and then that's like paving the yellow brick road. That is, the body is impressed by this superficial fear. And exactly in the same way that the body is impressed, so should be the fear of heaven. All right, so this is exactly how I should feel towards spirituality. If I don't attain, what am I going to do with my life? I'm born, I live, I die. 3 days, that's it. Rabash, number 7. No questions, right? There are 2 more. Really? This must be my lucky night. I might play the lotto after this. It's okay is asking. Thank you for that, Mutlu. How do we ask for help in the group if the friends see the lowness as just in a bad mood corporeally and not a spiritual descent. You know, the best thing to do is, if you're in a descent, the best thing to do is to pray for the friends. Okay? The way to get a nail out is to use another nail, as we say. Okay? Yeah, it's a local saying. If you want to get the nail out, use another nail. All right? And that's just how it is. So if you're feeling like you're in a descent, the best way to get out of it is to think about the friends and to pray for them. Why? Because first things first, you stop thinking about yourself and think about it. If I stop thinking about myself, I don't feel like I exist. If I feel like I don't exist, it's impossible for me to have a problem. Think about it logically, it'll pan out fine. Because the more I'm immersed in myself, the more problems I'm going to be like with myself, right? But if I'm just thinking about others and I never return back to myself, it's as if I don't exist. And if I don't exist, I can't have problems. Think about it and it all makes sense. I learned that from the Rav too. And it's a good trick. Okay? It's a good trick. Whenever you feel down, think about the friends, think about their benefit, pray for them, and you'll see the sooner you forget about yourself, the sooner the dramas disappear. It's like the Creator's telling you, don't think about yourself. Come on, think about your friends. Rachel's asking, what is body in this text? Body is always, in Kabbalistic texts, is always the desire to receive for myself. Okay? All the time. That's the body. Let's come to number 8. This is from Rabash number 19. One must believe, as was said above, that there is none else besides him, meaning that is the Creator who compels him to do the good deeds. But since he is still unworthy of knowing that it is the Creator who commits him, the Creator dresses himself in dresses of flesh and blood, through which the Creator performs these actions. Thus, the Creator acts in the form of posterior. In other words, the person sees people's faces, but he should believe that behind the faces stands the Creator and performs these actions. That is, behind the man stands the Creator and compels him to do the deeds that the Creator wants. It follows that the Creator does everything, but the person regards what he sees and not what he should believe. Right, this is nice too. Very short and sweet, to the point. One must believe, as was said above, that there is none else besides him, meaning that it is the Creator who compels him to do the good deeds. But since he is still unworthy of knowing that, it is the Creator who commits him. The Creator dresses himself in dresses of flesh and blood, through which the Creator performs these actions. Thus the Creator acts in the form of Ahoraim. So we have to believe, they say there's none else besides him. Now, that's not too hard to believe. Obviously, this is not a religious thing, right? How can I believe there's none else besides him? Well, first of all, look at your life, and you will see you have absolutely no control over anything. You don't even know if you're going to wake up tomorrow morning. You just don't know, all right? So we don't know. So if I'm looking at life and I'm thinking, well, I've got nothing in my control because anything can happen anytime, right? Okay. And that could be the end of my day or life or whatever. Then it's easy to understand that life is out of my control. And then I can say there's none else besides him. But then there's always me in the picture as well, right? Because I always feel like, because the Creator is giving me the sensation, and that's what he's saying. The Creator dresses himself in flesh and blood. So he's compelling me to do things. So on the one hand, my life is not in my control. On the other hand, he gives me the feeling like I'm free to do things and that I can do things. Okay, so we're living in a bit of a dilemma. So on the one hand, I feel like I can do things. On the other hand, life is unpredictable. Anything can happen anytime. Okay, anyway. So we're in between these straits, okay, these two conditions. So, but the Kabbalists are saying, listen, even the things you're doing, the Creator is making you do. Well, how come? Well, because all of a sudden you want something, right? So where did your desire come from? You can't hear me, or I can't hear you? You can hear me now? Okay. Okay, so all of a sudden I have a desire, or I have a thought that just popped up. Where did that thought come from? Because I wasn't sitting down and thinking about coming up with a thought. Okay, it just came out. Same with my desire. Why all of a sudden do I want something? I either see it from somebody else in a commercial, or my friends got it, or somewhere. Then I begin to want things. You see, nothing really depends on me. Even the way we live our life, it is not according to what we want. It is what the society wants. Okay, when we're selecting a job, a career, whatever, it's the influence of the environment. Nobody's asking us, what would I really love to be? We don't even know what it means to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. Nothing. We're not an engineer. So how can we possibly know what it feels like? Right? We don't know. So we're influenced by the environment, and we make our choices according to the influences we get from the environment. So a person is never, ever, and cannot live even their own desire. The way we eat, drink, sit, talk, it's all according to the society, because we're raised by society. Otherwise, we'd all be going around in, I don't know, pajamas, right? Well, it's the most comfortable thing to wear, isn't it? Who wants to put a suit on? But if I'm going to work, they demand I get dressed up, okay? So you see, I can't even work like I want. I can't do anything like I want. So life is already putting up in front of me the situation. Look, you're never going to live like you want anyway. It's just not possible. You have to conform to society. Not unless you want to live on some islands, isolated somewhere. Okay, that's the other option. So what we see in life are a bunch of people, and myself. I've got no control over others. Okay, so everybody's running around doing whatever they think is best. I'm running around doing whatever I think is best, and it's all looking like one big chaos. Okay, but because we're living in one system and everybody's feeling the same way, the Kabbalists are saying, well, it's not chaotic, it just looks chaotic because behind it is a plan, and we don't see the plan. Okay, and that's why on the one hand we feel like we've got no control because anything can happen. On the other hand, I feel like I've got some control in my life. Then that's the dilemma, because you feel like you got control and you want to do a bunch of stuff and you work for it, and it never really turns out according to what you want, does it? Never does. And that's why a person has to believe there is none else besides him. So the Creator is making us do everything, because this is not clear for me yet. It's called the Ahoraim, the back of the Creator. Okay, so I've got this concept that life is out of my hands, but on the other hand, I don't really feel it. I don't really see the cause and consequence, that is, and that is called the backside of the Creator. Okay, so I feel like there are presidents making decisions, people are planning and doing things. Everybody thinks they're doing something. Okay, if I look at my life, I sometimes feel like I think and I'm planning on doing something. But if I dig down to where it all started, okay, it's something which is from outside of me. Okay, so there's always a cause that makes me do and be the consequence. This is why in life we live the consequences, never the cause. Okay, so we're always a consequence of events that are happening on the outside to me, and I'm just reacting to them. So, and that reaction, I think, or people believe, that I am doing something, I am choosing something. How can I choose something if I had no control over the cause? That's not a choice. That's a reaction. Okay? So that's why we can actually think of this concept of there is none else besides him in a logical way as well. It's logical. Why? What does it mean there's none else besides him? There's a system that's working on us. And that's what that is. There's none else besides him, me. That system is working. All right, call it the creator, call it the system, call it nature. It doesn't matter. Kabbalists are calling it nature all the time. So what difference does it make what we call it? At the end of the day, a system is working and we're inside the system as part of the system. So the system is like running us and we are not running the system. If we were running the system, life would turn out like how we wanted it to turn out, wouldn't it? But it never really does. Okay, so what does that tell you? There's none else besides him. Okay. Oh, funny but true. Okay, and that's basically it. Okay, any questions? Are we good? Well, we've got one more questions and then we'll call it a night because I've got an interview. Karen's asking, he's totally in control, but he's also giving us our thoughts and feelings. So is this him herding us to the certain actions and pray? Yeah, but according to the environment, okay? And the environment is my choice, well, seemingly anyway, okay? It's my choice seemingly. So if I choose the right environment, that will get me closer or that will get me more advanced on the path to the purpose of life, then obviously, you know, the creator's working with us nicely. He's herding us through, okay? If not, he's still herding us, but with like a bang slap at the back of the head, okay? And that kind of like a wake-up call. Is he hoping for us to take the correct path? Yeah, he wants us to make a discernment. This is why we've got ups and downs. This is why we feel good and bad. If you don't feel good and bad, you can't make a discernment. If you can't constantly feel good and make a discernment, it can't happen. So the creator has to kind of like, sorry about this, Karen, but I'm gonna have to, oh, boom. Okay, so it is a little slap on the hand. Sometimes it's a painful experience as well. Sometimes, you know, we do get painful experiences in life as well. But the beauty of it is, if you think about it, if you think about all the hardships you went through in life, the creator never really gives you something you can't, you know, handle. Okay, so you go through dramas and painful situations as well, and I'm sure we all have as grown-ups, but it's like if you stick to it, you kind of later on, only afterwards, obviously not during that period, only afterwards you begin to realize how you grow from that situation. So yeah, so all of it, everything that we get on the path, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, it's just all a part of the I don't want to say growing up, but part of developing our understanding and clarifying how we should move forward. It builds inside of us wisdom as well. You can't have a wise person who's been having lollipops all his life. You know, you got to have these ups and downs, the good, the bad, the good, the bad, the good, the bad. And then through that, you get wisdom, don't you? You get wise. That's how it is. So, yeah, everything he gives us is to kind of like direct us correctly. And if we use the environment correctly, even really painful stuff can, you know, can feel like a blessing, actually, if we use the environment correctly. Isuke is asking, can we say that our main correction is in our perception and view of life and the occurrences in the system? Of course, perceiving the system correctly is what we'd like to do. And our lack of perception in the correct way is, you know, what all the suffering is all about. Ingrid's asking, how to bestow to friends? Does one first need to feel what friend is lacking and how should one reveal it? Well, look, how can I say, what can I say? If we're all in the same path and we all want to get close to the Creator, and through that study, if we understand that getting closer to the Creator means caring about others, thinking about others, being, genuinely worried about them and wanting to help them, then anything we can do to help them advance in the path is really bestowal, isn't it? Okay. So in the meantime, it may all be egoistic, okay, but it's an effort, it's the effort that counts. Kids break up stuff all the time as they're growing. Numerous times. They break up all the toys, they want to see what's inside, and whatever you buy them, they just break it up. It's annoying to an adult, but it's really necessary for the kid. So same for us, we do whatever we can. You do your best, forget the rest, kind of thing. And that's what we need to do, because we don't really know what an act of bestowal is at the moment. I mean, if we're not in spirituality, we don't know, okay? But we can depict to ourselves, and that's what makes humans, greater than animals. We can depict to ourselves. If I go through a certain state, I can use that experience and I can think about what I should do in the future. An animal can't do that, but I can. So that's part of being human, going through the process and coming up with discernments about how you would want things to be. This is how we change our lives as well, isn't it? If I'm going through negative stuff and I want to better my life, I'm using the negative experiences and I say to myself, you know what, I'm not going to do these things again. I'm just going to put them aside. So I grow up from them, okay? And same with bestowal. So what really matters here is, even though I don't know the Creator, I don't feel the Creator, I don't feel like I love others, I don't feel like I sense others, I don't really want to help others either. If you sit down and think about it, it's like, listen, guys, I don't want to bestow, I don't want to help, I just want to, let's just put the Creator in our pocket and get out of here, okay? That's what we, initially want. But if you put all that aside and say to yourself, you know what, I'm just going to make a small effort according to what I understand helping the friends is, so that we could move further in spirituality. If I just start to do something like that, then you'll see that one thing, that little thing, will open up something else. And that's called cause and consequence, right? So now what's happening is, instead of life bringing you all kinds of stuff and you're going through cause and consequence, if you understand that you need to go towards where life wants to bring you, to the purpose of life, and now you take a step towards there voluntarily, right? Then it's like you're causing something, because you're going against your nature. Does that make sense? Okay, because then you're not letting life, which is love and bestowal, right? Because that's what they're saying. There's none else besides him, the Creator, right? So he's always working towards us in love and bestowal. We don't feel it because we're egoistic. So we're going through a bunch of dramas because the forces are opposite. The Creator is love and bestowal. I'm egoistic. And even if he wants to do something good to me, I don't feel like it's good. It's like a naughty kid, right? Dad loves the kid, mom loves the kid, but the kid is so stubborn. They've just got to shake him up all the time and put him on track. So it's an unpleasant experience. So if I now take the reins of my development and say to myself, well, you know what? I'm going to try to do something in bestowal. I don't know really what it is, but since we're all trying to get to the purpose of life, I'm going to try to do something to help the friends to get closer to the purpose of life. And I want to do it for them, right? And then that is already going to open up something else. So let's give it a shot, okay, this week until next Tuesday. Every day, let's do something for the friends. Let's take a note, all right? You see, I've got one of these. Every day after the morning lesson, I write on a piece of paper, something like this, right? There you go. I've got my notes. So if I want to love my friends more today, what should I do for them? Okay, what should I do today so that I can grow the love of friends a little bit more today with the guys? Right? So make a note. It doesn't have to be like mine. So I've got here, look, 1, 2. Okay, I've got a bunch of stuff here, so I made a list. Okay, you don't have to make it a long one. You just write one sentence on a blank piece of paper. What should I do today to grow the love between me and my friends? Just one thing. Okay, and that's it. Just do that. All right, and let's see how we go. Every day, write one thing, and let's see if you can do it. Okay. And then we'll come up with discernments, right? And then you'll say to me, maybe Ingrid, next week, you'll say, listen, I tried to do it day 1. It was okay. Day 2, it was like, whoa, this is like pushing it. Okay. Day 3, forget it. Leslie, but you see, if we don't try, we're never going to find out. All right. And that's why it's important to make the effort. Kids make the effort of growing up. And we should do that too. Okay. So, all right. So, what can I say? I'm going to love you and leave you. Have a good one. All the best. If we don't have any dramas from the guy upstairs, we'll meet up next week. Bye-bye.